Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy Scoville. This is the Tommy Scoville Show. We made it to the weekend. Before we get rolling, thank you to everyone who put up with yesterday's video. Yesterday's video was just about me. I mean, honestly, it was an opportunity for me to work on something that has been troubling me for a really long time, and my hope at the time was just to get it off my chest. And in doing so, maybe that would, bring some kind of a relief. I won't know for a minute. I never get these nightmares a couple of nights in a row, not since it first happened. So, those who have sent emails wondering if I had the nightmare last night, it's not an every night thing. So, but I'm just hoping that when it does happen, that the way I react to it will be different. What happened though is there were so many unique perspectives. I was so impressed with everybody else that's in this boat with us that left messages, because you would think over the course of 8 years trying to work through this in your head that you would think of absolutely every angle. And there were just some messages left, some really beautiful messages left from people who had an angle I had never thought of. And that's that's the nature and the beauty of what's going on here, is that you are as much this show as I am. Like I say, we look it up by my name, but this show is so about everybody who's here, and each time somebody new joins this program, especially somebody who's active in the comment section, then we all benefit, because they're the insight that we get. I talk about Debbie and Chi Chi, the insights that I get when when one of the ladies in this boat leaves a message. I can't manufacture a woman's perspective on anything. I can try to think, in different directions, but genetically, that's just not something that I can do. I'm a man, and having a perspective of a woman here is just phenomenal. I can't thank the ladies enough. It's such a huge deal that they're here, and that they're such a big part of this show. So God bless all of you. I really appreciate all of that. I wanted to talk today. There's a person who watches the show and watches all of them, and this person is newly pregnant, which is awesome, right? She's going to be a mom, and but because of that, there was a whole host of bad habits that this person needed to quit at once. And you've heard my opinion on quitting things all at once. However, when you're eating for two and you're drinking for two, you're also doing everything else for two. So there was not a choice in terms of let's pick one and knock it out. So there's an overwhelming amount of stress to this person because of the number of things that had to be quit all at once, because there was some prescription medications, there was a little recreational marijuana use, she vaped, alcohol, not an alcoholic, anything along those lines, but social drinker, and all of these things had to end at once, and she's been coping and dealing with that. The reason that I bring this up, I'm not putting this person on the spot because she's never mentioned her pregnancy in the comment section. I've just known this person a very long time. I know this person's mother my entire life. So first off, she's going to make a tremendous mom. Her mom is amazing. Her mom is probably one of the first people to have ever really heard all of my theories, and has implemented many of them in terms of raising her kids. So her mom knows the entire situation, because their communication is very different than most parent and children. She really has a great line of communication with her mother. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is my drug of choice is opiates, right? I've been really clear about that, and I have talked about how when withdrawal happened for me, and I don't mean just the initial withdrawal of kicking, as the term they use as you're going to withdrawal sickness, but as when that is over, the brain, because of the fact that I was addicted to pain medication, the brain creates pain, and people say, well, it's psychosomatic, it's not real pain. People, I assure you that if your brain creates pain, you're going to feel it just as real as if you slammed your finger in a car door. It's the exact same phenomenon. When we say that the pain isn't real, what we mean is it's not caused by, something traumatic, but the brain is doing the exact same things as if it had been. So it's very cut and dry. My brain is going to say, I'm going to make Tommy really uncomfortable, and hopefully he gives pain medication. That's just as simple as that. But it's not the only drug this happens to, and I think I've failed in communicating this, because if what you're addicted to is not a painkiller, and I don't care what else it is, but if it's not in that family, then your brain is going to do the exact same thing. It's just going to create different sort of a feed me response than would an opiate. The opiate goes right to pain. Other drugs usually will start to attack your mental well-being. So one of the first things that people go through is you read constantly in the comment section, and if you talk to people who are trying to beat drugs, they'll say, well, on top of the fact that I'm trying to get clean, I also suffer badly from anxiety attacks. I got news for you. Very oftentimes, and I'm not saying 100% of the time, but very oftentimes, those anxiety attacks are a direct sympathetic response to the fact that you have just quit your best friend, right? The drug literally becomes, in many instances, just like a best friend. And spending time with that best friend, day in, day out, the rituals that go along with it, all of those things, when taken away, the brain is going to do exactly what would happen if your best friend died, right? You're going to get depressed. You're going to deal with anxiety. And these are the buttons that the brain will push for people who are addicted to things other than opiates. And take this all the way down the line, people. If you're addicted to gambling, if you're addicted to eating, right, it's all the same phenomenon. But let's say that you're dealing with amphetamine or methamphetamine, or you're dealing with benzodiazepines. So you have you have Xanax, or you have Valium, or you have anything in that family of tranquilizers. What's going to happen is the first thing is that's going to happen is anxiety is almost always the first. And a couple of things that I want to say about this is, like, this girl calls me, and she calls me usually when she's really in sort of panic mode. Like, it has gotten bad enough that she has to call Tommy. Usually it's not good. And yesterday when she called, I said, tell you what, I'll bet you my house that there's nothing going on in your home right now, right? Your husband's not home. You're not obviously at work, and you're not doing anything. There is nothing going on. People, we talked about how two objects cannot be placed in the same place at the same time, right? Only one object can be in one place at one time. We can't put this in the exact same place as we put my iPhone or my iPad, right? And this is, I want to say Pierce, it's somebody's law of something. I'm definitely not down that road. You know what I mean? This thing doesn't work like that much anymore. But the point is, I talked about how the brain is the same way. Well, if there is nothing going on in your home, right? You're doing nothing. What you're doing is inviting all of those emotions in. You really need to keep yourself busy. When you first start to quit these substances, downtime, idle time is just inviting disaster in because the brain is going to go to work. That's usually, as in addicts, when there was nothing going on, we go and we get our drug of choice, we start to use, and the rituals and all of the things that are associated with that usually happen during downtime or specific times of the day. Like, as a heroin addict, I got up in the morning, it was go time. But when you stop using your drug, downtime is bad. So if you can create hobbies, if you can do yoga's awesome, right? For a lot of reasons, and I'll touch on that in a minute. But so I said, you're doing nothing, correct? There's nothing going on right now. And she said, no, I'm really not doing anything. Well, the first thing that's going to happen when that anxiety attack happens, it is purely physical. It's not mental. People don't realize, but the start of every anxiety attack is your respiration, always. And we say to people, through this process, one of the first things we say when someone's really panicking is, hey, well, take some deep breaths. As crazy as this sounds, right? What's the one thing you never stop doing from the time that the doctor slaps you on the butt until the time you stop breathing? You continue to do so, right? You breathe in, you breathe out. It's like the ocean, right? The tide comes in, the tide goes out, and it never stops until you are no longer a part of the living community. But we don't do it right. Doesn't that sound crazy? But we do not breathe correctly. So one of the things that you want to do is immediately get control of your breathing. as a person who is just starting to quit anything, when you feel that anxiety attack coming on, it is usually being brought on, not just what's going on in the brain, but physically. That is what's bringing it on. You start shallow breaths, and those shallow breaths, which are all right up in the chest, you're not getting down and really starting to bring it in through the diaphragm. That's what starts the entire process. And from there, tick, 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 the dominoes just start to go. It starts to feed off of itself. The shallow breathing starts to cause all of the effects of that anxiety and that panic. Then you realize you're panicking, and you're realizing the anxiety is there, and this snowballs and it becomes a thing. So there are as many type of breathing exercises out there as there are people. But what I would encourage you to do is look them up online. I could do an entire show on YouTube, nothing but breathing. There are so many different kinds, but I'm just going to touch on a couple of them that have worked really well for me. And this is very unique to each individual, so do a little research. But to get your breathing under control, one of the things that for me was huge was what they call ACC, right? That's going to be your abdomen. You're going to start your breathing. You've got abdominal, you've got your chest, and then you've got your clavicular, right? This is going to be the top two lobes, the top section of both lungs, the lobes way up at top. And more often than not, they're not getting a whole lot of oxygen because most people just simply don't breathe that way. Also, you will hear all the time, breathe through your nose, deep breaths, and then out through the mouth. There is a school of thought that says that is not how you do it. There is a school of thought that says when you're trying to really get control, you want to breathe through the nose and out through the nose. I'm not going to tell you which one works because it's going to be unique for you. For me, when I started breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, breathing exercises actually started to have an effect, a good one, and I stuck with that. Also, I started to do a type of breathing exercise where you breathe in, you breathe out, and all of it is done to a count, right? How long that count is going to be unique to each individual. If you have 14-liter lung capacity, then the amount of time that you count each section of what they call square breathing is going to be different. But for illustration, and because my daughter is so bizarre about her favorite number being 4, we're going to go with 4 because I know she'll be watching this afternoon. So for a 4-second count, what we're going to do is you breathe in through your nose, right? And you want to concentrate on filling those 3 sections, right? The deeper you get, when you really get to the very end, is when we're starting to get to the clavicular. You're filling up the absolute maximum that you're going to get into your lungs. But you're going to breathe in for a count of 4 seconds. You're going to hold that for a count of 4 seconds. Then you're going to breathe out for a count of 4 seconds. That's 3 sides of the square. And then before you breathe back in, there's going to be a 4-second count. Now, I'll be really honest with you. One man's opinion. So often, folks, that what I tell you is one man's opinion. It's just one that has worked for me. But one man's opinion this time is that the counting in the 4 seconds is just another way to clear the brain. It's not as essential as the breathing itself, but when you're concentrating not only on the breathing, but on a count going on in your head, well, that's occupying that space in the brain where, hey, feed me is not going to kick that out of the way. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to be suffering from all of the mental things that are caused that anxiety to start in the first place if you're concentrating on something else. So this is what we call square breathing or 4 square breathing. So it's in for 4 seconds. It's hold for 4 seconds. It's exhale for 4 seconds. And before you start the process again, a 4 count of nothing, no respiration in or out. That, for a lot of people, for me, that has been amazing. Now, the other one is where you do not do the 4th corner. So in other words, you breathe in for a count, you hold for a count, and then you exhale for a count. I do all of this through my nose. I have very large lungs, right? I grew up a swimmer. So I have gotten to the point where I do one of these a minute. So it's 20 seconds in, I hold for 20 seconds, and it's 20 seconds out. That's me. Should not be your goal, should not be your number, but the point being, you're not stuck at 4 either. Get to the point where this is something that works for you, and you will be astounded what the parasympathetic system will do to your body when you start to actually get good, clean, nice air deep into your lungs. It's going to calm you down, people. This is not Tommy's theory, right? This is a stone cold fact. Yoga concentrates immensely on breathing. There's a reason for that, right? It's astounding the number of people in this country who do not breathe right from 1 minute to the next. They mouth breathe, they don't get enough oxygen into the body, and when you don't, nothing good happens, right? Air, water, food, these are all really essential things. But you could go a few days without a couple of them. There is nothing more important than getting your breathing under control, especially when you start to feel these first panics come on. By developing a good breathing technique, something that you can do whenever you feel this start coming on, the very first trigger that you're going to have as an addict and that contributes to relapse is gone, right? If you can eliminate that very first trigger, then that first domino does not fall into that second domino. So I would not take my word for how I do it. I'm telling you how I do it because it's an illustration of what works for me. What I think you should do, since it is so easy to pick one of these up and just Google it. You know what I mean? Google breathing exercises, Google breathing techniques. Play with each one until you find one that works for you. You understand? But this is essential. If you're not getting your breathing under control, when you first start feeling anxiety come on, it's going to kick your can. Bottom line, it's going to kick your butt. So please, people, take this seriously and know that just because, my drug of choice was heroin and I talk about it, just know that every single addiction is going to have triggers from the brain. The brain is going to do things to make you uncomfortable in hopes of getting fed. Since most of you are not going to be heroin addicts, or not going to be opiate addicts, it's not the most common of addictions out there. But if your drug of choice is alcohol or weed or anything else, when you remove that from the brain, your brain's going to get pissed. I mean, bottom line, that's what's going to happen. And it's going to do what it can in order to get fed. So if the magic button for your brain is not pain, then it's going to go to anxiety and it's going to go to depression. So this starts stops the first domino from falling, if you can get that breathing under control. We will talk in later shows about the other dominoes as they fall. The reason we're not going to do it now is because I don't want to put up an hour. People, I could go on, and I apologize for the fact that my videos are always longer than what they should be. And for those of you who say, hey, I would watch a half an hour, God bless you. I believe that you would. But according to statistics, I'm going to run off more people than those of you who stick around. And like so many other things, we want to reach as many people as possible with just the message that we care and the message that we're all here for one another and that we're all in the same boat. I'm not a guru. I'm not a genius by any stretch of the imagination. What I am is somebody that deep down truthfully cares. And that's just really it in a nutshell. People, if you like what I'm doing, you can hit the subscribe button, right? That helps this channel grow. And in doing so, we get the positive message out there that, you know what, as an addict, your life matters, right? Addiction is real, and it's something that needs to be treated, not like leprosy, but it's something that needs to be treated with love. And that's really the message. If you really dig what I'm doing, you can tell people about it. And oh my goodness, I joke and I say, listen, tell absolutely everybody you know about the show, right? Let's get as many people in here as we can. Boy, we have a friend of the show named Mark, and he has a channel called Wages World, which I'll tell you something. I've done a lot of brain damage over the years. This is a very intelligent cat, and the channel that they have talks about the weather in space. It's a lot of really fascinating stuff. I will be honest with you. I'm probably not up to snuff with the brain pan on the same level that this man is. But you know what? The beautiful thing about what we have, the fact that we're all in the same boat, is that, as we've said before, there's nothing prejudice in any way about addiction. It hits everybody. And, Mark and I are unique. We're on the same page in terms of a lot of the thought processes. He was raised by great parents who cared, wasn't an abused child, did everything right, and this still got him. His parents did everything right, and this still got him. But thank God he's 10 years sober. Really great guy, but he did tell every single person he knows about the show, and I think I saw about 40 new people who came and joined, and jumped on the boat. Now, hopefully, they're going to hear something. They're going to take away a nugget, and this is going to be to be something that resonates with them. But you know what? If it doesn't, it's the pasta method. This isn't going to be for everybody because not everybody needs it, and not everybody. Even the people who all need to get sober, my message resonates with certain people and in a certain way. It's not going to with everybody. So what I would say today is if you're fighting to take care of an addiction and what you hear here doesn't feed that need, if it doesn't give you an answer, for the love of God, keep looking, right? Don't give up on the process because of me, because there is a lid for every pot, and I may not be the answer to your question, but that doesn't mean that the question doesn't need to be answered. But I'll tell you what, Mark, what a guy! Thank you so much for for recommending the channel and for just helping this message spread. It means the world to me. You people are going to meet Mark anyway. We had been talking about, I want his story out, and when you hear it, you'll understand why. But he's going to be on this show, so you'll get a chance to meet him and welcome him to the family more officially. But thank you so much, Mark, and thanks everyone else who's who's telling people about this, especially when we talk about raising a drug-free kid. That's really, I'm proud of that. Each parent that I've seen implement this since we started working on it has had unbelievable success. No brag, just fact. So thank you so much to all of you. I really appreciate it. Continue to do so. Let's get this message out. Addicts are people too. If we can change this world and leave it a better place than we found it, then that's awesome. I hope you have a great weekend. You'll probably hear from me a little later in the day, right? I like to do 2 on the weekends, but I am Tommy Scoville. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you for all of the therapy you provided for me yesterday. I don't even have words, but just thank you, okay? God bless, and I'm Tommy Scoville. This was the Tommy Scoville Show.